Discipline is not what you do once. It is what you refuse to stop doing. There's a man you have seen before. Maybe at the gym, maybe at work, maybe across a room, at a party where everyone else was drinking and he was not. You noticed him before you understood why. Something about the way he stood, the way he spoke, slowly, without searching for words. The way other people turned toward him without realizing they were doing it. He wasn't the loudest. He wasn't the best looking. He wasn't trying to impress anyone. But he had something. A presence. A gravity. Something that pulled people in without effort. You probably wrote it off as confidence, as charisma, as genetics or luck, or some quality you either have or you don't. But what if it wasn't any of those things? What if it was a choice? A practice? Something he had been building quietly, alone, for months. Today we are going to talk about what makes a man magnetic. Not in the shallow sense, not tricks, not routines, not things you say to people to make them like you. We are going to talk about what happens at a cellular level, a psychological level, and a spiritual level when a man decides to retain his energy instead of spending it. This is the real reason retention makes you magnetic. And once you understand it, you will never unsee it. Most men have never been taught what they are actually spending when they give in. They think it is a few minutes of pleasure and nothing more. A release, a reset, something with no consequences. This is the first and most expensive lie most men ever believe. What leaves the body during ejaculation is not just fluid. It is zinc, selenium, calcium, fructose, proteins, enzymes, resources the body has spent significant energy producing. Resources that, when retained, are reabsorbed and redirected. But the physical cost is only part of it. The deeper cost is neurological. Every time a man gives into the cycle of stimulation and release, especially through artificial means, his brain's dopamine system takes a hit. The baseline drops. The sensitivity decreases. Things that should feel meaningful start to feel flat. Focus becomes harder. Motivation becomes harder. The drive that should be pushing him toward his goals leaks out instead, into a screen, into a habit, into a loop that gives him nothing in return. This is not a moral argument. This is neuroscience. The brain that is caught in this cycle is a brain that is running on less. Less drive, less clarity, less presence. And less presence is exactly why so many men feel invisible. In rooms, in relationships, in their own lives. Retention is the practice of stopping the leak. And when you stop the leak, something begins to build. In ancient traditions across cultures, Taoist philosophy, Ayurvedic medicine, Greek athletic training, there was a shared understanding that a man's sexual energy was not simply a biological function. It was a resource, a fuel, something that, when conserved and cultivated, expressed itself in every other area of a man's life. The Greeks called it thumos. The Taoists called it jing. In Western tradition, it has been called vital force, life energy, creative fire. The names differ. The observation is the same. Men who conserve this energy are different. They speak differently, with more conviction, more authority, less need for approval. They move differently, with more presence, more deliberateness, as if they are not in a hurry because they know exactly where they're going. They think differently, more clearly, more originally, with a kind of mental sharpness that feels almost unfair to the people around them. This is not mythology. Modern research on testosterone and its relationship to sexual behavior, abstinence, and drive confirms what ancient practitioners observed empirically over centuries. The energy is real, and the man who learns to build it, to direct it, to channel it into his work and his relationships and his physical presence, that man becomes something rare. He becomes the kind of man that other people feel before they understand why. That is magnetism. Not a trick, not a technique. Energy. Let us be specific about what we mean when we say a man is magnetic, because the word gets used loosely. People say charisma, they say presence, they say confidence, and those words all point at something real, but none of them name it precisely. Magnetism is the experience other people have when they are near a man who is fully inhabiting himself. Most men are not fully inhabiting themselves. They are partially elsewhere, distracted, depleted, performing, managing an internal restlessness they cannot quite name. They are in the room but not present, listening but not engaged. The man who is retaining, who has been building his energy for weeks or months, is switched on. His nervous system is regulated. His focus is sharp. His eyes are clear. When he looks at you, he actually sees you, because he has the internal resources to be fully present. People feel this. They cannot always name it, but they feel it. Women feel it. Men feel it. Rooms feel it. There is a quality of aliveness in a man who is full that is completely absent in a man who is depleted. That quality, that aliveness, is what magnetism is. You cannot fake it. You cannot perform it. You have to build it. A study published in the journal Neuroendocrinology Letters found that men who abstained from ejaculation for 7 days showed a significant spike in serum testosterone. In some cases, up to 145% of their baseline levels. By day 7, testosterone is not just a hormone associated with aggression or libido. It is the hormone most directly linked to drive, confidence, competitiveness, physical energy, vocal depth, and what researchers call dominance behavior. The natural, unforced projection of authority and presence that causes others to defer, to listen, to follow. When your testosterone is high, you walk into rooms differently. You speak with more certainty. You take up more space, not aggressively, but naturally, the way a man who knows his own value takes up space. When it is low, through depletion, through the dopamine cycle, the opposite happens. You shrink. You hesitate. You qualify your statements. You look for permission before you speak. This is not a character flaw. It is chemistry. And chemistry can be changed. 7 days. Start there. One of the first things men notice, usually within the first 2 weeks, is a change in how they make eye contact. This sounds small. It is not. Eye contact is one of the most powerful nonverbal signals a human being can transmit. It communicates confidence, presence, interest, and intent all at once. And most depleted men cannot hold it. They look away too quickly. They break first. They glance down or to the side in moments that demand steadiness. This is not cowardice. It is depletion. But as retention builds, as the energy accumulates and the nervous system begins to regulate itself, something changes. The eyes become steadier. The gaze becomes more direct. There is an ease in holding contact that wasn't there before, not aggression, just a quiet, grounded willingness to be seen and to see. Conversations go deeper. People trust faster. Women hold the gaze back instead of looking away. Men who would have talked over you start to let you finish. Build the energy. The eyes will follow. The second thing men notice is the voice. not because they are trying to change it, because it changes on its own. Testosterone has a direct effect on the vocal cords, on their thickness, their resonance, the natural depth and authority of a man's speaking voice. As retention continues and testosterone levels stabilize at a higher baseline, men report that their voices drop slightly, that they speak more slowly without trying to, that they project more naturally without raising their volume. And voice matters more than most men realize. Research consistently shows that vocal qualities, depth, pace, steadiness are among the most powerful predictors of how trustworthy and authoritative a person is perceived to be. Before content, before logic, before whatever words you're actually saying, people decide how to feel about you based on how your voice sounds, before they process what you are telling them. Do not need a voice coach, you need to build the energy that produces the voice naturally. Retention does this. Quietly. Progressively. Without you having to think about it. Men who have sustained retention for 30, 60, 90 days describe something that is harder to quantify, but impossible to dismiss. They describe a change in how people treat them before they have said anything. Before eye contact, before the voice, in passing, in a hallway, on a street, in a waiting room. Strangers make way. People smile. More. Conversations initiate themselves. The scientific language would be pheromonal signals, hormonal output through the skin, the micro-expressions, and postural changes that communicate status and vitality at a level below conscious awareness. When a man is full, when his energy is high, his nervous system regulated, his hormones balanced, he emits something different, something that the people around him register without knowing they are registering it. This is the part that no technique can replicate. It comes from the inside. It is built by what you choose to do when no one is watching. That is why it is real. That is why it lasts. The urge is not the enemy. The urge is energy. It is the thing you are trying to build. When it arises, it is a signal that the energy is accumulating, not a command that must be obeyed. The practice is redirection. When the urge comes, move. Physically. Stand up. Do push-ups. Go for a walk. Take a cold shower. Do something that requires your body to engage. The second practice is removal. You cannot win a war of willpower in an environment designed to make you lose. Remove the access points. Delete the apps. Install the filters. Make the path of least resistance point away from the habit. The third practice is replacement. Every man who has succeeded long-term at retention has filled the space with something. A training program, a creative project, a business, a skill. The energy has to go somewhere. Stack enough daily decisions and the man in the room that everyone notices will be you. We started with a man in a room. A man you noticed before you understood why. A man who had something, a presence, a gravity, a quality of aliveness that you felt before you could name it. Now you know what he has been building. Not a persona, not a performance. Energy. Accumulated, directed, sustained energy, expressed through the steadiness of his eyes, the depth of his voice, the ease of his presence, the quiet authority with which he occupies whatever room he walks into. 7 days will change how you feel. 30 days will change how you think. 90 days will change how the world treats you. And it costs nothing. It requires no equipment, no membership, no skill you don't already have. The world is full of depleted men wondering why they feel invisible. You now know the reason, and you now know the path out. Stay cold. Keep building.